Voters will decide whether or not marijuana should be regulated like alcohol within the state, making the use of marijuana legal for adults 21 and over.
Patrick Walker recently traveled to Colorado, the very first state to legalize recreational pot, and he's here now with a look at what Nevada's law might look like compared to Colorado's.
Well, so far we've talked about how pot has become a billion-dollar industry very quickly in Colorado, mostly due to recreational sales. And we've talked about the growing pains of the industry and the problems they're addressing. Now we're taking a look at how this law will take effect here in Nevada if it passes in November.
Colorado, and the city of Denver in particular, has become the case study for how to regulate the world of legal weed.
What we've seen has had a lot fewer unintended consequences than we thought would come up.
Andrew Friedman is Colorado's marijuana czar. He says the process of legalizing pot is much more complicated than just a vote of the people at the polls.
Legalizing is not like a light switch, and so I think a lot of people had in their mind that you do this and you flick a switch and suddenly this is the way the world works. This is a lot of work for everybody.
Colorado voters passed State Constitutional Amendment 64 in 2012, legalizing recreational marijuana. The first recreational storefronts opened in 2014. And in the meantime, dozens of laws have gone in front of state legislators to modify, improve, or fix unforeseen regulatory problems. Here in Nevada, in 2015, a UNLV study of registered voters shows 55% support legalizing recreational marijuana.
Try to forecast as much as possible what we can do.
Rihanna Durrett, executive director of the Nevada Dispensary Association, spearheaded a trip to Denver for Nevada lawmakers and stakeholders, a fact-finding trip for guidance should Nevada voters pass recreational marijuana in November.
We can get a little more of a jump start than Colorado did. We have a little bit of an advantage, but if those responsible for moving this industry forward don't do that, then they'll lose that opportunity.
The initiative, question 2 on the November ballot, is 8 pages long. It lays out the framework for how the state would regulate marijuana. As of January 1st, 2017, it would be legal for anyone 21 and older to possess an ounce of marijuana or an eighth of an ounce of marijuana concentrate. Also, an adult may grow up to 6 plants for personal use inside their home. It would still be illegal to drive under the influence and to consume marijuana in public.
And I think this is a different industry. We're not setting up a bakery.
And if it passes, State Senator Patricia Farley says lawmakers will see a flurry of marijuana-related bills and discussion in Carson City next year.
My hope is that if it passes, that we have a realistic conversation about what normal human behavior is going to be with this product.
Perhaps the biggest issue to tackle in January, who's in charge of regulation? The Department of Taxation would regulate recreational marijuana, while the Department of Health currently regulates medical. Both Farley and Assemblyman Derek Armstrong are open to moving everything under one umbrella, even if it means expanding state government to handle it.
This is a vote of the people. So if the people do vote for it in November in Nevada, they've given us that mandate to where we have to be responsible to them to have an industry that is regulated properly.
There would be a 15% excise tax on top of any state or local sales taxes. The proceeds would fund the state's regulatory program, and the rest of the tax dollars would go into the state general fund, earmarked to fund K-12 education. That may be the selling point that gets voters to approve recreational marijuana. And lawmakers and regulators, no matter which side of the issue they're on, will be tasked with getting the program up and running.
So if question 2 passes, the state would have until January 1st, 2018 to start accepting license applications for recreational dispensaries. It would allow for up to 80 dispensaries here in Clark County, but for the first 18 months, only existing medical marijuana establishments could apply to open recreational dispensaries, Denise. So at least to get the program moving,
right,
they want the existing businesses to get those licenses.
So has anyone crunched the numbers? I mean, if this passes in November, any idea how huge this industry could be?
Well, we've seen one set of numbers that actually we talked about, I believe, earlier today, $640 million by 2020 in sales being done. Now, that may be a little bit bullish because you have to look at the market size here. Our population just barely over half of what it is in Colorado, maybe 12, 13% of the number of dispensaries that will be open. So it's really pinning the number on the visitors.
Right.
That's who they're banking it on. But depending, I mean, trying to do the numbers, we don't have those figures. It's going to be really tough to tell if that's going to be an accurate prediction.
See if it passes in November.
Absolutely.
All right, Patrick, thanks.
On to weather.